So I downloaded the TikTok app. I resisted the dopamine vortex that it offers because, you know, we're a bit more sophisticated, right? A bit more highbrow than that. We like the YouTube dopamine vortex. And so I just typed in shading and I had a look at what they had. And a lot of it was about rendering. So rendering would be when you are building up your light and shadow, you can push and pull the shadow areas and the light areas to bring out more nuance and detail. Now, there's nothing wrong with rendering, that's great. But most artists, when it comes to shading specifically, don't actually need to worry about rendering yet. So even if you have other skills like proportions and forms and gesture and things like that in place, and you're ready to start working on your shading skills, you still don't really need to worry about rendering. What most people need to think about is how to simplify what they're seeing in terms of value into meaningful shapes. So a good tip here would be when you're looking at the figure, let's say you're drawing a figure, you can squint, and that's going to simplify down the values that you're seeing. Simplify the light and simplify the dark, and then you learn how to draw those shapes. And as you get better, you can start to bring together your understanding of basic anatomy with those simple shapes you're seeing, so that the shadow shapes that you see convey important information about the basic anatomy. Like, this is the form of the chest, this is the bigger form of the abs and things like that. And then you bring together basic anatomy and simple shapes. A lot of tutorials are about advanced anatomy and rendering, but you really don't need, you're not going to succeed with either of those things until you're really good at putting down simple shapes that reflect the more basic anatomy. And so often with these tutorials, it's not that they're bad or that they're wrong, but it's just the title is a bit misleading because it says how to shade, and it's just skipping over the most important foundational building blocks of how to shade. And if you are ready to start rendering, if you have all those other skills in place, you're probably not looking at TikTok tips to improve your artwork. I don't know why I'm being snobby about TikTok, as if what I'm doing right now on YouTube is any better. But all I'm saying is that often people are focusing on the decoration rather than the more important building blocks. And I think there's two reasons for that. One is that it's easier to create that kind of content. So it's easy to make quick, simple videos that give people like a feeling of learning something quick and straightforward when it's just focused on these kind of little decoration techniques like rendering, for example. But what people really need is these more fundamental changes to how you see things. So when it comes to the topic of shading and the topic of values and light and dark, our brains are not wired to see it, which is really crazy. I've made a video about this before, but there's this illusion that we have where our brains, as we process the light that our eyes take in, it over-exaggerates little contrasts in light and dark that are close together. And it means that people way over-exaggerate how light, slightly light areas inside shadows are, and how dark, slightly darker bits of light areas are. And so in order to succeed with your shading, you need to overcome how your brain is wired in the first place, which is a really mind-bending and difficult thing to create content about. And it's also a difficult thing to consume a quick video about and feel like, oh, I learned something. Because you're basically not going to learn it until you keep trying to do it, keep struggling and failing, and eventually you're going to get there. And that's just the reality of it. So there's very little point in working on your rendering skill until you can overcome that simultaneous contrast illusion.
Forgot to say who I am. My name's Kenzo. I went from drawing like this to this in a few years, in my 30s, with kids. The point is, you can do it too. Subscribe, hit the like button, and let's do this.
So I'm not saying you can't get into rendering. So one of my favorite artists is Steve Houston. When it comes to figure drawing and painting, he's incredible, right? And here you can see he's rendered this beautifully. Look at how he's bringing out all this anatomical nuance to the drawing. But can you also see how all of that rendering and nuance is secondary to the big simple shape of light and the big simple shape of dark? And when he's doing quicker sketches, that's also what he's focused on. And that is the skill that you're probably going to need to build first. And the rendering is going to come a little bit later. So a lot of the tutorials were just about different techniques for putting down shading, hatching or stippling, or different digital effects, like different blending modes you could use and stuff like that. And again, none of these are wrong. It's just that it's not covering the thing that most artists really need to work on. You need a simple way of putting down those 3 to 5 values, and then you're going to focus on finding the meaningful shapes. And it's not that they're bad tutorials, it's just there is a danger with them, which is that you try to apply them, it doesn't work, and then you blame yourself. Oh, I don't have the talent, I just can't do this. The tutorial told me what to do, I tried to do it and it didn't work, so that must be my fault. But it's not your fault, it's just that you needed all these foundational building blocks that the tutorial didn't cover. And so this happened to me so many times with so many different skills. So an example we could look at is photo bashing. Okay, so sometimes concept artists, to make their workflow quicker, they'll bring in different photos that they find online to help put together some textures and things like that more quickly in their picture. And you might watch that and think, oh, that's like a little shortcut. I can bypass a lot of things by just learning photo bashing or something like that. Photo bashing is something that you're going to be able to use effectively if you're a concept artist and you've already learned all these principles. You can already draw really well. You already understand how perspective works, how light works and things like that. You've done all that hard training. And now you're going to use this as a way of speeding up your process because that's what you need for your job. Similar if you're trying to learn how to bring color into your work. A lot of, maybe more advanced artists, they can do it more quickly or efficiently using something like gradient maps or something like that. But if you're trying to learn how to color, you're not going to find a digital shortcut or a hack that's going to just give you that by pushing buttons and stuff. You're going to have to learn these fundamental principles like, why does saturation intensify with subsurface scatter? What kind of light is bouncing into shadows and affecting the color of those shadows? If those things aren't making any sense to you, then there's not going to be a digital effect that's going to do that for you, I mean, have you ever noticed how a lot of online hacks, these kind of shortcuts to like outsmart life, they don't really work.
Guys, I've been working on something really cool that I wanted to share with you.
So you want to put down those effortless, confident marks that capture the figure and express what you find beautiful and interesting for yourself and for the people viewing your drawings and artwork. And that is absolutely possible and doable, but it is a journey to get there. And I found that it was pretty hard to consistently make progress in that journey alone. So going through things like books, going through courses and challenges, they were really important and really useful to make a specific step forward within that journey. But then I would find that in between or after a course or something like that, I would lose the structure. My practice would become kind of directionless. My motivation levels would be up and down, especially when the drawings weren't looking good. And I would kind of be spinning my wheels for a bit, wasting time. So if you've experienced anything like that, if you're struggling to make consistent progress month to month, the Life Drawing Study Group was designed for you. So what we're going to do is go through this journey together, and every month we're going to pick a skill and we're going to focus on it. We're going to do exercises designed to build that skill.
Check out the link below to learn more. You can watch the full video there and sign up. Alternatively, here is another super useful tutorial I made about the types of light reflection. So if you don't yet know about diffuse and specular reflection, check out this video.